Take two. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another live show here with the Crescent Lake Club. This time, I remembered to hit the go live button. So, in case you haven't noticed, it's been a minute since I've done one of these. Um, some of you were here with Ryan a couple weeks ago to talk the return of runDisney. And so, with another runDisney trip for all of us on the horizon, thought we'd get together and get back in the swing of things, talking some tips and tricks, some travel advice. We're going to hear a little bit about Ryan's trip to Orlando last month. You guys may have heard a little bit about that from him during the runDisney stream, but we're going to talk that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my trip back in October because I guarantee you haven't heard about that. And then Teets is going to give us a lesson about all things Disney Genie, Genie Plus, Lightning Lanes, and he's going to be here to answer your questions. So if you guys are watching live and you have a question about Disney Genie or anything about trip plans, the 50th, things that are changing for going to Disney in 2022, just hit us up in the chat. If you guys are happy to watch this on a replay, just drop us a comment below and we'll be happy to answer it. So first off, Teets, how you doing?
Not too bad. It's the coldest day of the year for us here today, so feeling the winter finally, but that's expected in December here.
Yeah, it only got up to about like 65 today here, but it was really overcast. Funny thing, I think I told you maybe Nola Disney Mama, Courtney and I did a market right before Thanksgiving, and it was really chilly that day. And sure enough, some lady asked us if we thought it might snow that night. And by chilly, I mean it was like 52, 53. The wind was real blustery, so you never know. But I did ask Teets, looking at how he's dressed tonight in his formal hoodie, if he just got finished shoveling the driveway, and your answer was?
No, it did snow today, but it's going to be 50 next week here, so that's very unusual for us. So definitely not shoveling yet.
It's in the 60s. We probably won't get like cold weather and ice until I'm trying to come back from Florida in January, but we'll see. And on that note, we do have another runDisney weekend coming up, and it's one that's near and dear to our heart, and that is Marathon Weekend in Orlando, the first weekend of January. So, Teets, you will be doing
Dopey for my 5th time.
So dumb, so dumb. I will be doing the 10K and maybe the half. Jury is still out on that one. We'll see how I feel. I'm kind of over the whole thing, but looking forward to it. We will be staying at the Boardwalk Villas again. I'm very, very excited about that. And it's going to be really great. We'll talk about this on an episode closer to Marathon Weekend, all of our plans, but the whole gang is going to be there. Me, Teets, Angela, and Leslie. Speaking of Angela and Leslie, they will be joining me next Tuesday because we are going to talk about our trip on the Carnival Mardi Gras back in October. That was the last leg to our end of September, early October trip, which happened to coincide with the 50th anniversary celebration, which was definitely something. We were in Magic Kingdom on the day of the 50th, and we got to see everything from far away. I got to see all of the fangirls to squeal over Josh DeMario, is that his last name? And it's like I literally heard women older than me scream, "I love you, Daddy Josh." It was surreal. If I'd seen a bra go flying at him, I wouldn't have been surprised at all. The rock star status is definitely still there for Josh. Not so much sure how it is now after some recent announcements, but I'll let Teets get into that one. The one thing I did want to talk about that I did and I'm excited about, and I'll get Teets' take on it because I know he saw it this last trip in November. I opted for October 1st. I couldn't see both of the new nighttime spectaculars, All the rest of the gang stayed at Magic Kingdom, and I went over to Epcot to watch Harmonious, and I loved it. Like tears coming out of my eyes. Absolutely enjoyed it, and it was so cool to see it. I know, annual pass holders had seen it the night before, and they'd streamed it in different things, so people got to see it. But it was so great to see so many fans of these Disney movies and these characters that are so inclusive to them, um, celebrating the song spoken in, or the sung in their own native language. It was really, really fantastic. And I loved it. I have no problem with the barges, but I want to get Tietz's take because he does have a problem with the barges and he's hated them ever since we saw them back on my birthday trip in April. Got real triggered by them. But what do you think about Harmonious?
So I will say I was not able to join you guys, of course, on the October 1st 50th anniversary trip, but I did watch the stream that Disney did that weekend of Harmonious online, and I watched that stream and I just thought I'm just not gonna like this. So of course, I still was gonna see it in person for I wasn't not gonna just give up on it, but so then when I saw it in November, I staked out a spot and right in the front between the two showplace shops there, and I will say they had a stage there. They were setting up a stage there for I think what Joyful performs there now during the Festival of the Holidays. So that kind of was a little bit obstructing because that's not always there, but it wasn't too bad. I know now there's like Christmas trees and stuff on that stage, so it's even more obstructing now.
Yeah.
So that could be a problem like now if you're going to see it. But overall, I actually liked it a lot better in person. I think some of those effects don't come through on the stream, and Disney did a terrible job filming
Yeah.
that show.
It was I was really surprised. It seemed like of all the testing and things that they did, they didn't take the time to really set it up to make sure that you got a really great visual of the whole show. But I will say they've definitely upgraded the sound system for this nighttime spectacular because it really did feel more overwhelming, I guess. Like you were really in the music. You felt it really, surround sound, I guess, almost like you were in a theater, all the different highs and lows of the music. And I will say the one thing that I loved the most was a nod back to my favorite version of Illuminations, which went around and highlighted each of the different countries with the lights on the countries that the song represented. And you the finale is just amazing. I love so much music from the Hunchback was used. The people didn't know that song is so great. I know lots of people have been like, the ending was weird. We weren't sure if it was over or not. But I liked kind of like clubby vibe of the 20-minute outro after they say goodnight to get you out of the park and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I give it 8.5 out of 10. Would see it every single time. Go see Harmonious. Absolutely love it. I hear it's way better than Enchantment. I'll be the judge of that one in January. But Teets, what do you say?
I think I'm gonna give it. I want to say like a 7.5. My biggest downgrade with Harmonious is it's not essentially it's not 360. Like there's better spots to see it than there are. So it's not like you can't just watch it anywhere around World Showcase. You kind of gotta have a good spot for it.
Sure. I saw I went back and rewatched getting ready for this, some other YouTube vloggers that we follow and we really enjoy their content. I wanted to go back and see where they watched it because I will probably catch it every night that we're in Orlando, with the exception of my dessert party night. And so I wanted to try different angles. And I know they watched it by the Shoji Gate in Japan, and it seemed like they had a pretty decent location. I will say, do not stand close to a lamp because those lamps don't. I'm not talking the big fire ones. I'm talking just the regular sidewalk lamps. Don't stay close to those because they don't dim them, and it will really take away from the effects, the water effects, and some of the screen effects. So if you can kind of find a darker place, I bet the Germany pathway where the picnic tables are would be pretty excellent. may stick out that spot. But harmonious. So that was one of the new to you things that you did on your trip in November. You got to buy all the popcorn buckets for the 50th. Tell us a little bit about your trip. What was new, what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll save the Genie stuff for last because that's going to be the big bulk of the rest of our presentation tonight.
So, well, I did first part of my trip. I did get to go to IAPA, which was a new to me experience, and thanks to them for granting the CLC access to that. Got to see most of the show floor. I mean, it's like overwhelming. There's so much there to see and do, and it's not just like theme parks. It's all amusement parks around the world. It's entertainment venues like bowling alleys and stuff like that. They all come in there and show off their latest and greatest stuff, not only to obviously media, but people who are buying these things for their own venues and stuff like that. I mean, you can see things like animatronics, ride vehicles.
Speaking of that, I'm hoping to get one of our Twitter mutuals who works in animatronics and had an award-winning booth at IAPA to maybe come on in the next few weeks, maybe after Christmas, to just talk a little bit about that industry because it is fascinating. Mm-hmm. But continue.
So I basically stuck around most of my time. I stuck around the press announcement area and watched what was announced throughout the day. My favorite was Fun Spot because they handed out champagne during their announcement.
Of course.
But they had a big coaster announcement for their Atlanta
journalist.
park.
You're just in it for the free booze.
So yeah, they announced a big new coaster for their Atlanta park. There was a new dark ride for some place in California that I forget right now, and just a bunch of different stuff. But like I said, just walking around and seeing everything was just really cool in itself.
What was the most impressive thing that you saw on the show floor? Because you got to see the Guardians of the Galaxy ride vehicle, correct?
No, they didn't have the ride vehicle. They had was it Vikama's doing that? I think they had they had images there, but they didn't have the actual ride vehicle. I know. I think it was Manta from SeaWorld. They had their ride vehicle there. Okay. I know there's a couple companies that bring in smaller kind of attractions. You could there's a few drop rides in there. There was a model of a coaster that I rode that one of the cars is it's like a hamster wheel and it spins you as you go around the track. So that was interesting.
Wait, you went on that?
So yeah, it was it goes around twice and then you're done. It was just like a test, but yeah, it's like a hamster wheel and you're locked in like a coaster and you just spin around as you go around the track.
No, I'm good. I'm real good on that one. Pass.
Yeah, so it's just like I said, it's hard to really grasp everything while you're there. But there's just a lot to see and do there.
So from there, where did you head off to next?
So I went to Epcot and did see Harmonious that night. So we talked about that already. Then we let's see. Then I did Hollywood Studios next day, which really was my big thing. There was trying out Genie, which we'll get into. Magic Kingdom. The big thing I did there was I went to the Christmas party, Disney's Very Merriest After Hours, which is new this year. I did write an article about that on the Crescent Lake Club, so you can check that out. But it's also the most expensive Christmas party, or really any after hours party they ever have done. So definitely wasn't cheap, though. I was on technically what was the cheapest night that they had, plus you get $10 off as an annual pass holder. So I want to say it was $155 before tax.
So I knew it was the typical after hours. You had some access to rides. Was there a parade? Was it just cavalcades? Was it special meet and greets? And did you get all you can eat cookies and hot chocolate like you used to be able to get at Very Merry Christmas Party?
Yes, so you do get cookies and hot chocolate. Just snickerdoodles. They didn't have that was the only kind of cookie they had. And then so
Yikes.
now they do
I'd
have
be at guest services so quick. Be like, can I get a pretzel or something? I don't want a
the well, that's
snickerdoodle.
part of the after hours though too, is you can get the Mickey pretzel, or not, I don't think Mickey pretzel, but you can get Mickey ice cream bars, Mickey ice cream sandwiches,
Right.
popcorn, and then bottled Coke beverages. So you get those as well outside of the cookies and hot chocolate. But they do have a parade and different entertainment throughout. The downside to my night is it basically poured the entire night.
So that
Um,
marks the second time that you've had really, really big plans at Magic Kingdom, and the Disney weather gods have just said, "Nah, fam. I hope you brought a poncho today."
yeah. So, well, thankfully, because they run the parade twice. So the first go around, they went off. It like lightly sprinkled. It wasn't like a full downpour at that point. So they went with the parade. Though, if you were holding off to watch it the second time, that parade was canceled, and they just did like the omnibus and put Santa on it,
Oh
and that ran that down the
no.
street.
Why would you do that?
So
Santa can't get pneumonia. He's got stuff to do. Like, why would you do that to Santa?
yeah, so if you held out for the second parade, you were out of luck. Also, so then they also had I guess the big upside to this was you could see 2 fireworks shows in one night. So with the after hours ticket, you can get in the Magic Kingdom starting at 7. I was already at the Magic Kingdom that day with my park reservation, so that really didn't
Someone
matter.
cue Vivaldi on that one.
But so I watched Enchantment at, I think it was at 8 that night or something like that, and then the party starts at 9. So, and then during the party, I want to say it's at 11:15 or something. They do Minnie's Very Merry Fireworks or whatever it's called, and I was just gotta say that was 10 times better than Enchantment was.
So you're really setting up this enchantment thing as, like, I haven't heard. Courtney, 1 and 2, loved it. Absolutely loved it. You hated it, like flames from the side of your face, hated it. I'm already predisposed to hate it in general. I don't need you in my ear telling me it's even worse than some made up fireworks for Christmas. Whew. I don't know.
So yeah, so you do get 2 fireworks shows
May need to look at the
with it.
refund information on that third party.
And so then they also do a castle stage show. I think they run that 4 times a night. But again, due to weather, I think they ran the first one, which I missed because I went and I met Santa at his gazebo in Frontierland, which, if you check my social media, is a great photo.
Did you
And
ask him? Did you ask him to bring you a new iPhone for Christmas?
no, but he did compliment my outfit, which is courtesy of Keels over here. And so yeah, I did miss the first one, so I went to the second showing of the stage show, and they made it about 5 minutes in, and then it started downpouring. So they're like, nope, we're done. So they canned that, and I don't believe they ran the other 2 at all the rest of the night. Somehow, though, in Tomorrowland, Club Tinsel with Stitch was still going on. It was pouring, and he was still out there dancing to like one person in the rain. So I didn't really understand that one, but Club Tinsel did not stop for rain.
You can't stop the club.
And so yeah, I don't think there was. I want to say a couple other like character experiences. I want to say normally the Country Bears, my favorite, are out in Frontierland in their Christmas outfits.
Literally, what did I say to you about those dumb bears? Because you were mad that the show wasn't going. I was like, you paid like $700 to be at this after hours. Do not waste it. Just watch the Country Bears videos you've taken every trip for the last 4 years on your phone.
Well,
did you go watch the Country Bears?
I did before the party started. I think it was like 7:30 or something. So it wasn't official party time yet. And I'm pretty sure.
This.
So I think every attraction was going. I don't remember an attraction that wasn't open. Maybe like Carousel of Progress wasn't or something, but I didn't really, pay attention to that. So I think everything was running. Um, I was hoping to like try to, use this party as to get on like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is, always a crazy, stupid wait during the day, and I'm not going to pay to get on it now. So, but even during the party, that had the longest wait. It was like 30 to 45 minutes throughout the whole party. And I'm like, I'm still not waiting that long for that. Um, I did the People Mover, Space Mountain, Haunted Mansion. I only did 3 attractions during the party, I think.
Did they
I
have any
did Jingle
special
Cruise.
character? Did you have any special character meet and greets or anything like that?
No, I only just Santa. I know you had Santa Stitch at Club Tinsel that you could dance with, and then the Country Bears in Frontierland out on the top of the Country Bear building.
What about like any
But I
special
think
photo pass pictures or anything like that, like they do for Halloween at the Haunted Mansion?
so they did, or I should say they do. I didn't really take advantage of that because it was raining the whole night. So that was kind of hit or miss with where you caught the photo pass people in between the rain. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I know, yeah, like I think they have like 3 or 4 cookie hot chocolate distribution areas. Um, to start the party, it seemed like everybody was in line for the free soda and popcorn because like those lines were like the longest, like right when the party started. It was like 9 o'clock, and I mean those are probably at least 20-minute waits for some of these lines. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
heck? So that was weird. So I didn't get that right away. But then later in the night there was like no line, so I didn't know why everybody just started with that. Um, but I stayed. I didn't. I stayed till like 12:45. I had my feet were soaked and my whole body was soaked basically. So I was like, I've had enough. Even so, I made it
For
most
this
of
for
the
this
time.
for the second time in the second half of this year, I've heard you bitch about your shoes being wet. So I'm
So
aware.
I made it most of the trip, or most of the event. But yeah. Oh, I did never mention in Epcot I did go on Remy's for the first time, which was a new to me experience there. Um, it was fine. It was it's
You gave
an
that a
attraction.
hard meh was your
Yeah.
actual review to that. And so I like to point out when 1 and 2 and I went, we got there because we were able to go to Remy's for the very last night of the preview session for it. And we had the very last time slot. So the last 2 hours, I wrote it once, I was done. I started chatting with some cast members, and 1 and 2 just like cycled through this. And every 10 minutes, I just see them walk back through and get in line and walk back through and come back in. So at one point, the cast member told him, just stop throwing your glasses away. It's okay. I'll radio in and tell him it's all right for you just to hold on to the same pair of glasses. The 2 of you keep going through and walking. So they loved it. We also, did you eat at the crepe place? Because we ate at the crepe
I
place.
did not.
It's fine. I think I might try it when we're back there in January now that it's had a little bit of a time to sit in and service is more comfortable, because it was almost impossible to get anything from the to go stand. But luckily, we were able to get on the list, and they just kept hopping back in line at Remy's until we were clear to go and sit down at a table at the crepe place. It was good. I'm ready to try it out when it's just not so packed with people that are just hanging in there, because for the preview event you could go in when your time slot started, but they never kicked you out when your time slot
Yeah.
was over with. So that was a little frustrating. um, the queue is interesting. I feel like they forgot a room, like it's just wallpaper, and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if before you walk out on the rooftop, but no spoilers. Anyway, it's really cute. I think it's a nice addition to the park. Epcot could always use a couple more things to do there. Hey, so where the Brazil Pavilion usually is for Food and Wine Festival,
Mhm.
that space in between Morocco and France, was it still construction behind hedges?
No, that's all open now.
What is
At least
it?
it
Just like
was.
a
It was. Yeah. It's just like Or they're
More
going to put food
landscaping?
booths or whatever. Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
they just landscaped it out. Because it looked like they were doing like where fountains could go or something. I'm like, ooh, maybe this is going to be like permanent Caribbean islands or something. So, okay. Well, that wasn't worth me sticking my hand and my head through the hedges about 10 times trying to get photos of. So that brings us to the big portion and the reason probably people will be choosing to join us to watch tonight's live, or we'll rewatch this now that we've done a whole catch up on everything. Very Merry After Hours wasn't the only time on this November trip that you paid an exorbitant amount to try to get on rides for a shorter amount of time. Correct?
Correct.
So one of the whole reasons that Ryan went to Florida, to Walt Disney World, why IAPA was a great excuse to go, it was so he could firsthand experience Disney Genie, Genie Plus, and the Lightning Lane program. And so that's been very divisive. It's also really confusing. I get text messages from him, from everybody asking how this works on a multiple times a day basis. And it's just like, the exploding brain emoji? That's what I am. So he's kind of written it out and he's going to kind of walk us through how the whole Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lane thing kind of works. And I'm just going to jump in with questions as they go. If you guys are watching live, hit us up in the chat if you have a question for Ryan about any of this, advice, tips, and tricks. And then I'm going to have him explain everything and then maybe talk about how we might use it, for example, for our trip in January. So take it away, Teets.
Okay, so Disney Genie began at Walt Disney World in mid-October. I want to say October 19th was its first date. So it was there for almost a month when I finally got to try it out. So Disney Genie is essentially three things. You have Disney Genie, which is quote unquote free. It's included in your park admission. Then you have Disney Genie Plus, which is an additional fee, which right now is $15 per day per person. And then you have what they call individual lightning lanes, which are at Walt Disney World is 2 attractions in each park, which are separate from Genie Plus and cost an additional fee if you want to, essentially skip the line and save time. So Disney Genies kind of build as this personalized itinerary creator thing that is going to help you, create your day, give you recommendations, whether it's attractions, dining, all sorts of stuff like that.
Can we be honest? What it is it's just stolen touring plan / Ride Max. But it's something that they can control by what people, since they can control the data and those cool red tags that everyone wants to carry through the line. They have finally figured out after 20 years of doing this, hey, we can collect this data and break it down real time and alert people through our platform, which is powered by Amazon AWS. So, which begs the question after the big internet outage today, why doesn't Disney use Amazon as their scapegoat every time their IT screws something up?
That's a good point. Good point.
I hope Josh is watching this right now. Zaddy Josh, listen, I'm just trying to get people back on your good side. Continue.
So for me, I didn't really use Disney Genie, the free version. I'd look at it and it'd be like, oh, go to San Angel Inn or whatever, or, ride this now. It's only an 85-minute wait. And I'm just like, no.
The only time you would say yes would be like, go to Country Bears. And you'd be like, yup. Perfect suggestion. I was waiting for you to say that.
So it's just kind of random and I didn't find it very helpful. So I just kind of stopped even paying attention to it.
As you used it, like when you made selections for like lightning lanes and stuff like that, it became more intuitive to what you were personally doing over the course of a day? Or was it just really just dumb? Just flat out dumb the entire time?
It was kind of just flat out dumb.
Okay.
I used
That's
I
the
didn't,
answer I was expecting, but
yeah. So I used the what they call the tip board, and I'll hopefully I'll show you here if I can do the share screen thing. So they have a tip board section that kind of gives you an overview.
mine's not calling up. Oh, here we go.
Um,
So right now it wants me to
okay.
go to Astro Orbiter, which why would I go to Magic Kingdom? 2, why on earth would I ever ride Astro Orbiter?
Yeah. So the tip board thing is probably what I used most. I didn't use like the personalized itinerary thing because the tip board had wait times on it. It had the lightning lanes and Genie Plus and your individual lightning lane options all right there. So that's kind of like what I use the most in all of this. Now I bought Genie Plus at 2 parks. The first being Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
And I found, all right, let's see. What I ended up happening there is I got the early, because if you stay at a Disney hotel, you can get the early entry, which is 30 minutes before the park opened. And I found that to work really well. I rode Slinky and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway during that time period. And so this is like the tip board thing. And so I rode those 2 during that period. So that kind of canceled those out. And I should mention too, with Genie Plus, you can make your first selection for your day with your lightning lane selections at 7 a.m. So of course, to give it the full test, I woke up at like 6:55, got, had my phone ready and, like people did with the boarding groups and whatnot. And had my I think my first that day was Rock and Roller Coaster, which the first available time I want to say was 10:15. So that's still an hour after the park even opened. So I still had a lot of time between. I think the park opened at 9, and so then. So I rode the 2. I rode Slinky and Mickey the Minis during early morning hours, and then I kind of just walked around and waited till.
If I could just ask real quick, so when you bought the service, you just buy it in the morning also at 6:55, or did you buy it in advance?
Correct. So if you are not going to buy it for your entire trip ahead of time as part of your package, you have to buy it individually day by day. So at 6:55, that was the first thing I did. You can start buying it at midnight, but there's really no need to buy it at midnight. But that's when you can first start buying it. So that's when I woke up. That was the first thing I did, as I purchased it, and now it's $15, but that doesn't include tax, of course. So it's like 15 something, so 15 and change.
15 times 8.25 in sales tax.
Yeah. So then I booked Rock and Roller Coaster as my first, and then once. So now you have the whole. What people have been discussing online is the whole stacking technique. And so now every 120 minutes from when you first booked your first one, so if I booked my first one at 7, then I should be able to book another one at 9 a.m. and then so on and so forth.
And so that is just for the free lightning lanes, not the paid lightning lanes.
Well, not really free, but yes, because you're still paying for
but
Disney.
the included lightning lanes.
Correct.
Not the add-on lightning lanes. So basically,
Yes.
what we need to do right now is totally change the nomenclature. Like, this is never going to stick in my head. That lightning lane means fast pass, and then it should be lightning lane plus means fast pass plus, or something like that, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. They really did a poor job at doing this whole
emoji.
Their naming of this whole thing is really not very good. But dumb. That's Disney. So yeah, so then I booked my first one, like I said, was Rock and Roller Coaster, and then you can book another one starting at 9, which I think I booked. I want to say like Star Tours or something, just to keep the thing going.
So in
So then,
Hollywood Studios, every lightning lane that's included is Star Tours, basically everything except for Rise of the Resistance and Mickey and Minnie.
Mickey and Minnie's.
Okay, Rise of
Yep.
Resistance and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway. So anything that previously had a fast pass before is an included lightning lane for the $15.
Correct. Yes. If it had a fast pass, that's what you're getting. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then like I said, I did Mickey and Minnie's, so I wasn't going to pay for it then, and I crossed it off, so I didn't have to worry about that for standby. Rise sold out, because that's another thing is with these individual lightning lanes. So Rise of the Resistance is one of those, and I believe right now it's basically sitting at $15 per day. They tell you it can vary based on date and time of year and stuff. So like expect, Christmas you're paying more than you would in the middle of September or something like that. So the big thing with Rise is it sells out in the morning right away, kind of like how it did the boarding groups. So if you're not on top of getting Rise of the Resistance right away, you're kind of out of luck. And again, you can make those starting at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Did you happen to just notice what regular standby wait times were for Rise?
I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it on this day because I didn't feel the need to ride it, and the one time I did go into
you guys always make me ride it every time we go.
Well, I figured it was going to be an over an hour wait anyways the whole day, so I'm like, I'm not even going to worry about this. I'm didn't pay for it, so I'm not going to do that.
I always get screwed on this Star Wars nonsense.
Well,
even at least birthday, I had to go ride Rise. So
at least before it was free, or you got the boarding group, so you didn't have to pay extra for it or stand in an hour-long line.
No, it was like the last time I noped right out of it. I'm like, nope, this ride is down. I'm not doing this.
Which was the one time I walked past it. It was down, so it was like, whatever. And so that's, yes, like I said, Rise, if you're not on top of it right in the morning, you're probably not getting it. There have been some instances where they kind of do like a second drop, kind of like how they did with fast passes before. Okay. And that happened around 10 o'clock or so. That seems to have stopped, though. They aren't really doing that anymore. We'll see if that comes back. But yeah. So
hey, just real quick, we've had some new people join us. We are talking Disney Genie, Genie Plus, and Lightning Lane at Walt Disney World, which is also going to be arriving tomorrow at Disneyland. Teets was just there about 3 weeks ago, and got to experience all this. So he's kind of breaking down his experience with it. And we are starting with Disney's Hollywood Studios. So keep going.
So like I said, you can stack them every 120 minutes. You can book another essentially, or your other option is use it, and then once you're in, tap in line, book your next one right away, which I had done both. So I did the first, so I did my stacking, and then after that second one, I decided I'm just going to book my next one right away and see what I can get on right away. So then it was basically I could do, I could choose like Smuggler's Run, but that wasn't till like 7 at night. And I'm like, I'm not going to wait till my next Lightning Lane until 7 at night. So,
and also you don't know if any of those people are going to let you touch their controls, so you can boss them around or let you talk your way into being the pilot, which you need to be like an engineer.
I did end up doing Smuggler's Run, but I did Single Rider, which ended up being like a 5-minute wait. So that worked out perfectly.
That ride also sucks. Were you the pilot?
So I did do that. I was a gunner.
About time you had to sit in the back of the bus.
I had a little kid and a grandma as the pilots. So let's just say it did not go well.
This is Teets. Oh, you guys haven't been on it? Fine. You be the gunner and the engineer. I'll be the pilot. And then he reaches over and is just grabbing the other pilot's things. It's like if Teets could just stand in between the two pilot spots and run both sides. Is there a lightning lane for that? What's the paid add-on for that?
You don't have to pay. Yeah, well,
Just to
whatever.
have a ship all to yourself.
Yeah, that would be nice. I wouldn't. I might pay for an individual lightning lane for that.
So, Hollywood Studios, how do we feel? Was your purchase worth it or not? And what would your number one tip for using the Genie service at Hollywood Studios be?
So I think I don't know. It's hard to say if it was worth it because I could have done more than I did. But I didn't stay at the park the whole day. I left maybe like 5 o'clock and then went to Disney Springs for the night. So if I was spending a full day and my goal was to get on a bunch of attractions and whatnot, I could have done it because Tower of Terror was available, Alien Swirling Saucers. I could Muppet Vision was an option. You can go on do that with it. Star Tours was pretty much always available. Rockland Roller Coaster had quite a bit of availability. Your hard one, of course, is Slinky Dog Dash. That's your hardest to get, and then Smuggler's Run was your next one.
Is it surprising to you that Runaway Railway is a paid lightning lane over Slinky Dog, or is that just me?
Yes and no. I think it's because it's Runaway Railway still the newer one of the two, but I feel like the standby line does move pretty well at Runaway Railway. So it is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a mix of both, I guess. I do
So
think we could see that change in the future.
So if you buy, I'm sorry if you mentioned that you left the park and you went to Disney Springs, but let's say you left the park and you'd taken the Skyliner over to Epcot that night instead. Would your Genie service transfer over there, or is it just for the park that you started at that day?
No, so you can use it for park hopping. So if you want to go to any other park, it's available to use and go over there and figure out whatever um, doing or whatever you want to do over at that park. I would say probably maybe if you're say you're if because I think I would to me Hollywood Studios and the Magic Kingdom, which we'll get into as the second park I bought it at, are the two parks I'd probably buy Genie Plus at again if I ever was going to. If I'm spending a whole day at Epcot or a whole day at Animal Kingdom, I wouldn't. Though if I was say going to Animal Kingdom for a bit in the morning and then park hopping over to Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom or something later, then I would maybe look at buying it too, just because you still have you're opening your pool of attractions up more.
So we have a question from the chat, and it's when you're making lightning lane selections, can you view your ADRs on the same screen? And I'll add on to that even more. Is there any kind of like alert function, like when you're trying to make an ADR that overlaps with another ADR? It's like you already have something scheduled at this time.
So if I remember correctly, so you can't on like the tip board section, you can't you don't see your reservations on that one, but right next to it on the top it says my day. If you click on my day, that's where it will list your ADR. So then you can kind of bounce back between those two things when making your selection. I can't say I tried to see if it had an alert. I haven't really seen if it does or not. So I don't know if it like gives you a notice saying, oh, you have a reservation at this time. You should maybe think about a different lightning lane time period, which kind of is I think one of the biggest differences between Fast Pass and Lightning Lane is you don't select what time really you want to go. It gives you like the next available time, which is how old paper Fast Pass was, or Max Pass at Disneyland. So it's probably the biggest difference between the two. It just gives you your next available time. So let's see so then part of one couple things I want to mention too about Genie Plus is there's some other added things built into it. You can at Walt Disney World, there's audio tales, which I didn't end up using at all. You have like what in different areas of the park, whether, they have like Imagineers telling stories or stuff about, the design and different details within that space. So that's kind of what the audio tales are. And then there's what they call PhotoPass AR lenses, which are like Instagram or Snapchat filters, but just Disney-fied. So like I know there's a castle cake one. You put your phone up to the castle and it turns into the castle cake from the Disney or Walt Disney World 25th anniversary. Or you can have one where you have Baby Yoda or Grogu on your shoulder, that kind of thing. So it was kind of, those are fine, I guess, as part of Genie Plus, but not something that really, I guess, added a lot of value to your Genie Plus. Now over at Disneyland, which is something that I think does kind of add a lot more value, is you get PhotoPass as part of Genie Plus at Disneyland, whereas PhotoPass or Memory Maker is separate, an extra purchase at Walt Disney World. So I think that was that's a big kind of perk compared to Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Though Disneyland with Genie Plus, it's $5 more. It's $20 a day per person versus $15 at Walt Disney World. So, and then let's see, if on Genie Plus, if you don't want to do the next suggested experience, meal, etc., can you skip or bypass the next suggestion? Yeah, you can. It's when you first log into Genie Plus for your day, or Genie in general for your day, to kind of personalize your day. It asks you like, what kind of experiences would you like, or what kind of things are you interested in? So like there's a screen that tells you, are you interested in princesses, Star Wars, thrill rides, whatever, and you can select which things you like. And there's another screen after that you can go through and select each attraction that you want to do, and that will kind of build your itinerary. So you don't have to, you can kind of skip. I don't think there was like a specific exit out of this suggestion thing, but you can kind of play with it and work your itinerary to how you want it to be.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a great option for that, to kind of learn what your habits are. Like, check in, I did this, or no thanks, like just a thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing. Swipe left, swipe right. Like, yeah, I did this and I finished it here, or no, I'm not going to go to do that. Because at least it could kind of figure out, especially when it comes to like Epcot, what parts of the park you're at, and to
Which that
maximize
it
your
actually
time in
kind
each
of
location.
does.
Okay.
It does kind of use, your location features, and kind of shows, well, oh, you're over, you're here. This is why it's suggesting this, because you're in that part of the park. So, now might be a good time to do this kind of thing. So it does do that. And one thing I want to mention too is one of my dislikes of, at least right now, is every time I would go into Genie on my phone, it would automatically default to Epcot. It didn't matter what park I was in, it automatically defaulted to Epcot. And I know
Because
some other people have
mine
said the
does
same
Magic
thing.
Kingdom.
Yeah, so some people have different parks, but mine always did Epcot. And I'm like, I'm not in Epcot. I have Genie Plus at Hollywood Studios today. Why do you keep telling me to go to Epcot?
Yeah. I wonder if that's because, like, for my upcoming trip, the first day I have a park reservation for is Magic Kingdom.
That could be because like my first day was Epcot that
It's
trip.
Epcot.
So,
So
but I
what's the
feel like
next? So
it should
you
just,
said it should just default. It should know because you've purchased it in that park and you have a
yeah,
park reservation. If the whole point of this experiment is park reservations, so
yeah.
you did it at Hollywood Studios. What's the next park you utilized it at?
So then the next day I utilized it at the Magic Kingdom, which I think if I'm ever going to buy Genie Plus again, it's going to be for Magic Kingdom. And the biggest reason is it has the biggest pool of attractions to pull from. So you have a lot more options versus the other parks. So throughout the day, I could have pretty much done whatever. I shouldn't say whatever, because it was harder to get, say, Big Thunder or Splash versus Barnstormer or Dumbo, but they were still available throughout the day that I could choose and do them. So like I did use Genie Plus for Big Thunder. I did use it for I used it for like Little Mermaid. You could use it for Haunted Mansion. All those I'd use it for Jingle Cruise, those kind of things. This was the park I did have an experience with. An attraction was down, so it like Fast Pass did. It automatically gives you a multiple experience type pass. So then I can either come back later to Big Thunder, which is what the attraction was, or I can use it for something else in the park. So that was nice. And so then you also, because of that, you can automatically book your next one. Then say if you don't have another one stacked, you could automatically book your next one after that. So you're not waiting around for that multiple experience pass all day.
And so, and did you mention in Magic Kingdom, the two that are for purchase, we'll call them for the part of this conversation, Lightning Lane Plus.
Yeah.
Is Space and Mine Train?
Correct. Which I did not purchase either. I did, and I didn't feel a need to. I don't think I ever would really. I'd rather, if I'm going to do either of those, it's going to be a rope drop or like end of the day, when the lines are shortest type of thing. I will say though, I did do 2 Lightning Lane Plus or individual Lightning Lane purchases on this trip, and both were at the parks that I did not buy Genie Plus at. So on day 1, because I knew I wasn't going to be at Epcot for a full day, I bought my Remy's Ratatouille Adventure Lightning Lane, and I specifically, because with the individual Lightning Lanes, you can pick your time, like Fast Pass Plus. So whatever's available, you can choose whatever time you want. So I think I picked like 6:30 at night or something, because I figured I'd be at the park by that. So, and then you still have your typical 1-hour window, stuff like that. I want to say that one, Remy's was $14 plus tax, which again, I would not purchase again just because I didn't find the ride to be worth it.
That's a Grey Goose slush right there is what that is.
Yeah. And then the second time I did it was at Animal Kingdom, and I did it for Flight of Passage. That one was $9 plus tax, so a little better in terms of pricing, if you think, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Because again, it wasn't at Animal Kingdom for a full day, so that's kind of how I navigated that. The other one at Animal Kingdom is Expedition Everest, which is the cheapest of them all at $7. And that is one I would never in a million years buy, because it makes absolutely no sense to buy a Lightning Lane for that one. I rode on that day, Expedition Everest 8 times in a row through single rider. So
there you have it. So it's a lot to take in. I'm already trying to formulate my strategy. Wait, no, I already have it, and so I'm not going to buy it at all. And just kind of roll with how the day goes. But you've made some really great points. If you are interested, this is just like in the before times in Rise of the Resistance. Obviously, that should probably be your number one goal, correct? Is to try and get that Lightning Lane Plus pass for Rise right at 7 and be prepared to pay like $25 a person for it.
Well, right now they're saying they're capped at 15, like their max pricing is 15 right now. We'll see. I don't think that's going to hold much longer. I think because what we saw during Thanksgiving week is everything, including Lightning Lanes included with Genie Plus, they were gone instantly. So people were only getting to book 2 Lightning Lanes in a day during that busy week. So really, Genie Plus loses a ton of value during a busy week like that if you can only book, say, 2 experiences in a day.
So I thought I saw something about mobile order windows. Do you have to pay for Genie Plus to have access to more mobile order windows, or is it still like the same as it was before, where you could start booking mobile order and just hold them throughout the day and then decide if you really want something or not?
I don't think that's changed at all.
Okay.
At least I didn't experience anything like that.
Because I know sometimes I saw when I called up my tip board just now, I'd be like, you should mobile order from Cosmic Rays. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not that desperate right now. Also, they can't deliver to here. So,
There's been, I did put out some questions elsewhere to see what people outside of myself would like to see change with Genie. I think one of the biggest things, is, including for myself, is the ability to modify your lightning lane. So say if I look on the tip board and a different time pops up that I want, I can't just modify to that time. I have to go in, cancel my lightning lane, and then go back and hope that that one is still there. So
and
if you could
you're
just,
talking just regular Lightning Lane, not Lightning Lane
correct,
Plus, because
correct,
you could do that in regular FastPass Plus.
yes,
So the technology is already there. He
yeah,
did ask all of us at the Crescent Lake Club. Um, I think price point was a real big consideration. And my thing was, I think it should be included if you are staying at a deluxe or a deluxe villa. I don't think you should have to pay for Genie Plus at all. That should be kind of a perk. And they've already said the president to make an announcement or something like that with the or after hours, after magic hours that are only for deluxe villas and deluxe resorts. So I think that is something maybe we'll see in the new year that they'll kind of do to justify what they're asking for those rack rates come January, February, March at uh, those deluxe resorts and deluxe villas. And I think the other thing I'd like to see is similar to what Universal does with Express Pass and what Disneyland did with the kind of Genesis guinea pig version of all of this, the Max Pass, offering a blanket one time add on fee, be it $99 or whatnot, for annual pass holders to have just some form of Genie Plus that is included with their annual pass. But and again, maybe they'll do that too, because with the new uh is it keys, what is, or no, there's still passes on the East Coast, the
yeah,
keys on the West Coast,
correct,
but for the
yeah.
passes you can add on photo pass and you can add on the water parks. So why not add on just Genie Plus for the whole year? And I think that would make a really big difference for annual pass holders. What do you think?
Yeah, I think
I mean,
I def
I wouldn't do it, but it,
I would like to see at least like the ability as a NO pass holder to say, if I have a trip, to like advance purchase it if I'm going to do it, versus having
that
to do it
coincides with
every
a
day.
resort reservation or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could purchase length of stay for a resort reservation.
yeah,
And yeah, Angela is absolutely right. They just sound like clunky, cumbersome apps and programs, and where small improvements can make a huge difference. These are things a team of sixth grade coders could address in 30 minutes. And that's absolutely right. And that's why I do not understand why Josh and Bob don't just blame Amazon for all of this. Also, Teets, why didn't you go to school for coding? You could have fixed this by now.
I probably could have, or at least hacked into it or something.
So that's my take on Genie Plus. We've got Angela who will be going with us in January. So if she wants to chime in on the chat, let's just kind of spin it forward. And how do you plan to use Genie Plus, Lightning Lanes, and Lightning Lanes Plus in January?
So I don't plan on really using the regular Genie at all, because I already have my, park strategies that I'm used to, and I think they still work. So I don't think that's going to change. I don't plan on buying Genie Plus at all, because I don't think it will be necessary. Though the one thing I could see potentially is maybe an individual lightning lane if necessary. It's going to come down to, the situation at the time. It's not going, I wouldn't say it's not going to be a must, like I must buy Rise of the Resistance or something. But say if I'm get to the park and it's still available and, didn't sell out right away at 7:00 and, the line is already an hour plus, maybe I'll be, more intrigued to buy it at that point.
So you're out totally on Genie Plus, just in general.
Yep.
I think I'm pretty much the same way, but a lot of my hesitation for being very ride commando has a lot to do with this still, mask wearing and what is determined as an inside or an outside queue, inside or outside ride, and masks and all that kind of thing. So I'm also not really a rider anymore, except for Spaceship Earth. I can't remember what else did I ride, and no, I did. They drugged me on some stuff. Oh, I did Big Thunder Mountain on the 50th. I may have done some. I didn't do Space Mountain. I sat outside. All right, I'll pay for all the rides at Disneyland, though.
See, and that's where
Except,
I think I would buy it because, one, I've never been to Disneyland, so it's going to be. I think that's something I could see myself where I would. Plus, it includes Photo Pass, so it's you get that added kind of benefit there too.
So it's $5 more than Max Pass used to be at Disneyland, with exactly the same thing that Max Pass used to offer you. So
they did raise right like 3 weeks before the park shut down. That they did raise the price of Max Pass to $20.
$20? Okay.
Yeah.
And then Max Pass you could also buy, because I had the Flex Pass at Disneyland. Here you go. Walt says, "Don't waste your money, honey." Yeah, that's what I'm feeling too, Angela. That's what I'm feeling too. But yeah, I had the Flex Pass, which was kind of the precursor for this whole park reservation thing, and it never bothered me because I prefer California Adventure to Disneyland proper anyway, so I could always get a reservation. And then I buy Max Pass. So if I couldn't, I would go do Radiator Springs Racers single rider and then have another time slot for it, or Guardians, or vice versa, and just keep stacking them. But I think we are leaving out one thing. Once you do a lightning lane once, you can't ever get another one that day, correct?
So yeah, well, yeah. So you can't get another for that for the individual lightning lanes. Yeah. So they keep coming. I guess I shouldn't, because I never tried it, but they did keep, like, it kept telling me I could do Rock and Roller Coaster again after I did those lightning lanes. But I know because you can only buy the individual lightning lanes or lightning lane plus, or whatever you want to call it. You can buy 2 in a day, but you can't buy the same attraction twice.
Okay. And then that's I guess where I was confused, because that's why I'm calling them Lightning Lane Plus. There's Lightning Lane and Lightning Lane Plus. And so you can do every just general Lightning Lane multiple times, like you could back in the days of Fast Pass and Fast Pass Plus. But Lightning Lane Plus, you can only do 2 per day, two per day, and not twice on the same attraction.
Yep.
So it's most useful if you want to try every morning to get Rise, and then just hope you can switch over your park reservations to Hollywood Studios if you get Rise.
Yeah, probably that. Okay. Or if you already plan on being at Hollywood Studios, you may want to, because it's not like before where they sell out in seconds. So you can still get, it could take a few minutes at least. So maybe if you're planning on Hollywood Studios already, my suggestion would maybe be book Slinky Dog on your Genie Plus first, then go and buy Rise, right? Do those 2 things right away, and then play out the rest of your day.
Okay. And what are and then there's just no reason for it at Epcot, is there?
I really don't see it. There's just, yeah.
Because it's Test Track and Frozen? Or no, is it Remy and Frozen?
Remy and Frozen are the paid ones, and then everything else is included, which there was absolutely no wait while I was there for really anything. I did Soarin', Living with the Land, all the regular stuff that has Lightning Lane with no wait, so I saw no need for Genie Plus.
All right. So there you have it. So let's talk January. You're not going to do it. We've already gone through how we're going to play this. Is there anything good or bad that you want to talk about that is going on in the parks when we're there next month? I know you are upset about one particular thing. So just get it off your chest. Let it all out now.
Well, I don't know. Now I don't know which one you're referring to.
So Teets is really upset that the day parade at Magic Kingdom is coming back, but without Maleficent's dragon. That was his trigger point this or last week. I don't know. It could have changed.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, supposedly, various sources. It's not just one that people don't like, but they are saying that when Festival of Fantasy returns, it's going to be without the Maleficent Dragon float and without the Merida unit, because Merida will join the new cavalcade that they're adding.
Fine with that.
So, I mean, I think I would be more receptive to just Merida leaving, because she doesn't have she's not like a huge part of that parade where it's like people aren't really lining up to see the Merida float, though a lot of people are lining up to see that Maleficent Dragon float because it breathes fire and it's like the wow moment of that parade.
It also caught on fire.
Well, yeah, but they're not getting rid of it.
Fire.
They're supposedly going to use it at after hours events in the future, like when they do Villains After Hours. They're just going to trot it out there, so you have to pay extra to then see that float.
The thing you're glossing over is that parade stinks to begin with.
I really like it.
Of course you do. Of course you do. So we are doing a couple new to us things. We are going to be doing more off-campus excursions, including a stay at a new Universal Resort hotel. Teach, you want to tell us where we're staying for one night this trip?
Yeah, we just decided on this today, but we will be checking out Aventura over at Universal, which is considered like a moderate for them. Definitely excited for a new. I always like to see new hotels and stuff like that. And they have Bar 17.
You said hotels. Hotels.
And Bar 17, I think I'm most excited to check out up on top of that hotel.
Yeah, so we have a Skyview double queen room for the four of us. And so we'll be right underneath Bar 17 for everyone that's coming in hot on a Wednesday. We're going to do a off-campus dinner excursion that I'm so excited about. Everyone is going to love it except for Teets, which makes it even better. We are going to You and Me Hot Pot, which is a robot-operated hot pot restaurant. Conveyor belts, a robot that seats you, a robot that brings you stuff, all of it. I've been before. And there's a reason there's a 2.5 hour limit at your table. 1, it's fun. 2, it's great food. 3, it's just something that's so different. So I'm excited to take Ryan there. But we've also got a couple other exciting things planned. Ryan, you were able to get us a much desired reservation where?
Well, I did. So I want to say, was it like a week ago now, they opened up, surprisingly, reservations for the Space 220 Lounge, which previously was just walk up only. And like when I was there in November, I walked up and was like, they were like, yeah, it's 45 minutes right now to wait. I'm like, no. So I passed on that. So once they opened those up and I saw that, I jumped on and got us a reservation in the lounge, which kind of has its benefit or in that you don't have to do the prefix menu then. You can choose whatever options you want without having to be set on, going through the prefix.
And so I was being really bratty about the drinks just because I don't want to have to pick from just a set menu of drinks. I absolutely love the drinks at Enchanted Rose, and I also love that it's a very full bar with competent bartenders who know how to make things. So, I'm excited to try it, and as I have to look, space has taken over my new complaints from Polynesian being the worst thing at Disney. Now it's anything space related. Batu, Rise of the Resistance, that terrible bar in Batu. I'm not even sure there's alcohol in any of those drinks. Can we be honest? That's my
Which I
confession
did go
session.
to in November. I did go to
August.
August.
Of course you did.
Well, I figured we probably wouldn't go in January, so I got to get my O's fill in now.
Look, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do in Hollywood Studios because Baseline doesn't even have black cherry soda anymore, so it's off the list.
Though I was surprised when I did go to Baseline, there was nobody there. It was empty.
Because there's no black cherry soda anymore. That's it, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, we're doing the lounge at Space 220. But for me, on Thursday night, Ryan was really, really surprised by this. And what is it?
You're going to the fireworks dessert party at the Magic Kingdom, which is your least favorite park, and it just was first I saw the park reservation, then right below it was the fireworks dessert party, and I'm just like, it just doesn't sound like you.
Were you about to text someone and see if I had a brain tumor when you saw that?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's still likely to change, but I would like to see the fireworks, and I'd like to have a seat and maybe have a snack and just see how much of this free, cheap champagne I can drink while I watch these fireworks. Because I have a late reservation at Citrico's, but I would like to actually make it an earlier reservation at Citrico's for the duck pasta. Citrico's is currently the best restaurant on property. No question. Fight me on it if you want to. It's fine. It's good.
I have been searching for a reservation there, just if more of us wanted to go to that.
Well, 1 and 2 have already been there, and they loved it. The 4 of us ordered basically everything on the menu and ate every bite of it. So I don't think they would be against it. But then I'm also doing Sangria University at Coronado Springs at Three Bridges. I haven't really seen a YouTube video on that one yet, but I haven't done a real deep dive on it. But I'm pretty excited about that one. It was at a reasonable price point. It involves snacks. You get to try a bunch of different sangrias and then make your own glass of sangria. And who doesn't like sangria? Apparently Teets, because he wanted to go to space instead of going to Sangria University.
Well, you made a reservation for 1.
You can add one on.
Because I wouldn't mind doing that either.
It's marathon day though now. You made me move my Saturday one so we could go to space. And some breaks, kids. We may also be taking Teets keeps trying to talk us into Disney steakhouses. And I know we did lunch at Steakhouse 71 on October 1st, the 50th anniversary. It was fantastic. I loved it.
I did breakfast in November.
So service is still really, really slow. The wave staff is struggling to adjust to this is now Citrico's and Steakhouse 71 are the reservations to get. It's virtually impossible to get any of them unless you book 60 plus 10 or whatever out. I thought lunch was fantastic. I loved my lunch. I will not go back. Not go for dinner. I don't eat steak at Disney. But how was breakfast? What did you have?
Breakfast. Well, I did the same thing that I got up at the Wave when we went when it was at the California Grill. So I got the
Yeah.
American. It was on par with then, and service. Yeah, definitely was. It wasn't Tim. I did look for him. He was not there.
He was there. He was there the day we were there. We just weren't in his section.
But yeah, so but it was definitely a little slower. I didn't. It wasn't bad or anything. It was just slower.
No, it was great for us because Angela, Leslie, and I had the same waitress that we had upstairs on the very last day of breakfast at the Wave. So for lunch. So we just had to wait like an extra 45 minutes to an hour because when our time came up for our ADR, they were still just serving breakfast people. This is my other thing. You guys, stop trying to hang out with a 10:30 breakfast reservation and just sit at the table waiting for it to be 11:30 to get that lunch menu. They're going to force you to eat breakfast and then leave. They're not going to do that menu changeover, and all it does is set the restaurant back 90 minutes. So they are very, very strict. If your reservation is for breakfast, that is the menu you are eating. It's not like Chef Mickey's that if you happen to be there when it changes over from breakfast to lunch,
Yep.
you can choose between both. If you are a breakfast reservation, you are getting breakfast. If you're a lunch, you are getting lunch, not dinner. It doesn't matter how long you sit there or how late you show up. That's what you're getting. So think about everyone else that's trying to dine around you and then just keep working those reservation finders, or use a travel agent like one of our friendly people like Teets or Courtney or Whitty from Crescent Lake Club to do the legwork for you to get that dining reservation that you want. But yeah, that's the biggest problem going with Steakhouse 71 right now is people just holding up tables, having coffee and mimosas and cocktails, just waiting for it to flip to lunch, thinking they're going to get the lunch menu when they're like, no, we got to, it's still you're a breakfast table. Did you eat anywhere else fun? You did some booths and stuff though, right?
Yeah, I didn't though. Did Steakhouse 71 for breakfast, and then Hollywood and Vine those are my two reservations, and those were completely different ends of the spectrum, because Hollywood and Vine was terrible.
What was my exact advice to you on what you should have done with that money that you spent on Hollywood and Vine?
I don't remember. You say a lot of things.
I think
to
it
me,
was just
so.
I think it was just pile it up and set it on fire.
I mean, characters were great. I did like seeing the characters in their Christmas outfits, but the
Did you wear
food
your
was
Did you wear
just.
your Christmas outfit? Did you wear your Christmas outfit that day?
I did not. I did wear a Christmas shirt, but not my Christmas outfit.
It's a fail. Just a fail. Oh, I hope your Tia Angela sees the rest of this because it's way after her bedtime. But she's going to be disappointed also. You know that, right? So, any last words? Any last thoughts on planning things you want to do? Have you already started making your plans for finally seeing Tron open in 2023?
If it opens at that point, I mean, heck, it's going to be like 2065 by the time it's done.
I told Angela they're about to sit on Tron like they did on Remy.
Oh, for sure. Whatever.
All right, so we will be back probably with the rest of the crew in the next 2 weeks to talk about our January trip. I will be back next Tuesday with Angela and Leslie, and we're going to be doing a fun episode of Seize You real soon, and we're going to be breaking down our 7-day Western Caribbean sailing on the Carnival Mardi Gras. This was October 2nd, so it was only like the 5th or 6th total overall sailing of the inaugural season, and we did so much, and I feel like we didn't even accomplish see a quarter of what this ship had to offer. I'm also going to break down these bad boys, which are proctored at-home COVID tests that if you're taking a cruise, Disney, or otherwise in the new year, you're going to want to know what that's all about because it makes it so much easier to streamline your cruise boarding process. We're also going to talk about some fun cruising specials we have as a group going on in 2022, which includes Alaska. Who in the South does not want to go to Alaska where it's 50 in July and August when it's 120 down here? We're going to be talking about all things cruising, but mostly the Mardi Gras, my beloved ship. And we're going to let you guys in on a secret and what our next big sailing is and how you can join us on the second ever sailing of this brand new ship in 2022. So, Teets, any last thoughts?
No, I think that's going to be it. I did have a Genie article and a few other articles from my trip. So if you want to check those out on the crescentlightclub.com, they are all out there.
So, Teets, when am I going to stream with you again? And what do we need to do it? Teets' Thursdays takes and you just bitch?
I think I'm okay this week. I think I'm over. If there's some news that comes out tomorrow, maybe that's a different story.
All right, because Teets, he's been triggered Teets a lot this past week by some Disney things. I'm just triggered because I wish Christmas would last until at least January 6th because I would have loved to see that. But hey, it is what it is. Well, from the rest of the Crescent Lake Club, thank you guys so much for joining. If you're watching on a replay and you have questions about Disney Genie, Genie Plus, Lightning Lanes, or what I've now dubbed Lightning Lane Plus, please drop them in the comments below. We'll be scrolling through and happy to answer them. And again, he's Teets, I'm Keels, and we'll see you real soon.